Atlanta news first. Plus starts now with breaking news.
And thank you so much for joining us on ANF Plus. I'm Atlanta News First anchor Joe Gorcho, and right now at this hour we continue to monitor the breaking news out of Louisville, where there was a plane crash, a UPS plane crash just south of the airport. We're just getting preliminary information into our newsroom right now. We do know from our sister station in Louisville that the calls for the crash came in around 5:15 this afternoon. I want you to take a good look on your screen. I'm looking at it in real time along with you. We've been monitoring the situation for a little bit more than an hour now. You can still see, even though it's dark outside right now at this hour in Louisville, you can still see the thick cloud of black smoke and the flames, the trail of flames there just south of the airport. What we do know from preliminary information is that the UPS plane was departing Louisville, the airport there, Muhammad Ali Airport, to go to Honolulu. And at some point, as it was looking to take off and leave, there was something that happened that caused a crash. Again, we don't have that type of information available right now, but what we do know is that it did crash trying to take off from the airport. That's the information we're getting into our newsroom right now. And then there was just a trail of flames and smoke and debris and damage. When the skies were a little bit lighter outside and we had an aerial view of that crash, we saw a lot of debris. We saw trucks that were smashed. We saw buildings that were crashed into. We saw multiple incidents of where there was fire, and then seeing the first responders, and you can see those flashing lights. If you actually look at your screen right now, you can see those flashing lights. Let me get a clearer picture for you. Let's take me off the screen real quick here. This will give you a little bit better indication, right? So you can see the first responders there kind of surrounding the trail of flames and smoke, trying to keep this fire contained to the situation of the location of where it's at, just south of the airport. Again, we don't have the precise, like how many feet, how much distance it is from the runway of where it was trying to take off on the south end of the airport. What we do know is just the devastation, the toll. We don't know how many injuries yet, but we do know there are reported injuries from this plane crash near Louisville International Airport. And we are seeing photos on social media, and you're seeing it right here, of this rising smoke into the sky. And just to give you a better sense, for those that might be more familiar with the area here in Louisville, Kentucky, the location was around the intersection of Fern Valley Road and Grade Lane, which is, again, like I mentioned, on the southern edge of the airport. And it's hard to see, again, at this hour with just how dark it is. It was right near earlier, when it was a little bit lighter in the day, right near a runway as well. So we could tell it was very close to the airport. Now, we do know the size of the plane was a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 airplane. I had to do some quick research because I'm not as familiar with aircrafts as maybe some other people at home might be. But this is a fairly long-range, wide-body jetliner. It is a big plane, and so if you think commercially, when you go and you fly and travel, it's compared to like a Boeing 777 or Boeing 767. That's just based on research. Certainly I'm not an expert, but is a fairly substantially sized aircraft. And you have to think of this too. As it was taking off, remember, as it was leaving Louisville, it had a full tank. So you have all that gas as well and the fuel in the tank that the firefighters are dealing with, and it just helps feed the flames at this hour. So it's really a difficult situation. As you can just see, this is a wide shot of just the trail of destruction it left. And we just really don't know the significance of the damage right now there on the ground, but we do know this is a very difficult situation for first responders to keep this area contained. We know at airports they have emergency crews on standby. We don't know how many other emergency crews from the surrounding area had to respond to this particular situation, but what we do know is that there is a shelter-in-place order that was issued within 5 miles of the airport, just because of, I would imagine, again, I have not talked to officials on the ground, but because of the plume, right, the black smoke, but also the need to access the area for first responders, needing direct access to get to the airport at this hour. The airport, as we do know from our news desk telling us just about 30 minutes or 40 minutes ago, the airport is completely shut down as they work to manage this ongoing devastation and situation there in Louisville. So if you're just joining us right now, we do appreciate you watching us here on ANF Plus. And as you can see just by the headline there, UPS plane has crashed at the Louisville airport. We don't know the scope of how many people were injured at this hour. We're continuing to learn more information. This is really a difficult moment anytime you see images of this nature, just because you really just don't know the level of impact and how many people might be involved in the situation, or if there's nearby homes. I can't say I'm very familiar with the Louisville area, but when we were looking at it earlier, we know Louisville's like a cargo hub. A lot of cargo planes go in and out of that airport. Just doing some brief research, and it appeared to be a cargo area earlier this evening that it seemed to have, like when it just based on the crash and the distance from the runway, just looking at aerial views overhead, and a lot of trucks were involved in terms of being part of this damage. And we also saw different images and camera shots from our sister station in Louisville, just seeing different debris from the plane scattered across that location. Again, the southern edge of the airport there in the intersection of Fern Valley Road and Grave Lane, for those that may be familiar with the airport there in Louisville. And like we mentioned, there are injuries reported. We don't know the extent or how many people might have been involved. Again, this came around 5:15 this afternoon. We do know the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the NTSB is already there getting ready to investigate and try to determine the cause of this crash. We just know that this particular plane from UPS was taking off, leaving for Honolulu. And the plane, getting some more information at this hour, the MD-11 that I mentioned, owned by UPS and was manufactured in 1991, just to give you a little bit more information about the aircraft itself. Now, our sister station in Louisville, you can probably see it right here. Again, it's getting dark, but you can see that there are so many fire trucks dousing the fire, potentially using foam to try to, again, keep the flames at a minimum and try to contain the situation as they assess the area right now for other hot spots or areas of damage around the airport. And like I mentioned, the airport is right now shut down at this time. Now, we do have a new statement that's just coming to me right now. Give me a second. Let me review it so I can just share you more information. This is stuff that we'll be getting throughout the night from federal officials, local officials there in Louisville, and then, of course, as well from UPS, which actually just shared a statement. So let me come back on so you can kind of see me as I'm reading this, just so you know. So, again, just got this to our phone. Our great producer just got this to me as we speak, Maria. So let me go ahead and read it to you. This is a statement from UPS, just so we're all on the same page here. At approximately 5:20 this afternoon, UPS flight 2976, I should say 5:20 local time, so that's in Louisville. So UPS flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, an MDN-11 with 3 crew members on board involved in an accident in Louisville. At this time, we have not confirmed any injuries or casualties. UPS will release more facts as they become available, but the National Transportation Safety Board is in charge of the investigation and will be the primary source of information about the official investigation. And this is from UPS at this hour. So we just got this statement, and it gives you a little bit of insight. But again, like the statement says, there's no confirmation of injuries or casualties. What we're just hearing from local authorities is that injuries were reported initially following the crash. Again, there's just going to be a lot of moving parts and new information over the course of hours. So, we want to be just very cautious with how we're sharing information that we're hearing and seeing on social media at the same time. We're not going to show you some of those social media videos that are making their way right now. We're just keeping an eye and trying to get as much information as we can about what happened earlier this evening. Again, this was as the plane was getting ready to leave the Louisville International Airport heading to Honolulu. You're seeing, again, a wider shot at this hour of the location of where this happened. And you can just take a moment here just to see just the depth and the scope of this devastation. This is just one location here on the southern edge of Louisville's airport. We've had overhead views that just show it just stretching and stretching. It's hard to get a gauge distance-wise just from looking at TV, but you can tell. It really is a widespread, massive event of this crash. We just don't know the particulars of what happened and perhaps, what happened with the plane when it crashed. And again, like I mentioned before, we saw images where we saw different parts of the plane debris kind of spread out in the area. So we do know it was a significant impact. You can probably tell that from just looking at the fire and the plume of smoke and the fact that they had to put a shelter in place for 5 miles within the airport and shut it down as well as they tried to handle this emergency. And certainly over the next 24 hours, 48 hours, we'll begin to learn more just about how difficult this moment has been for so many in the area. These moments always kind of leave you at a little bit of a loss for words, just trying to understand just how challenging it really is for first responders. This is something they always prepare themselves for, to rush into these situations to help minimize loss of life, minimize damage, and you just see tens of first responders there. It's hard to get a gauge of just how many trucks are there on the scene, but you can see, if you look closely, that you just see the water and the foam just going on to these impacted areas of where the flames are shooting out of there. We're getting more information again as it continues to come in. We're getting different statements that are coming in, as well. The FAA releasing a new statement to us. Let me go ahead and read that to you as well. I'm going to go ahead and I want to make sure I'm on camera when I'm reading these statements so you understand. This is coming from the FAA. This is just a preliminary statement. It's not going to have too much information to share right now, just kind of confirming just the basics of what we know from what took place earlier this evening. So this is the statement from the FAA that they released. Quote, UPS Flight 2976 crashed around 5:15 in the afternoon local time on Tuesday, November 4th, after departing from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky. The McDonnell Douglas MD-11 was headed to Honolulu. The FAA and NTSB will investigate, and the NTSB will lead the investigation and will provide all updates. So there you have it from UPS and the NTSB, and the FAA, all pointing to the NTSB of leading this investigation. I'm actually hearing conversation in our newsroom right now, trying to hear what more information is coming in. I'm going to work on getting that in just a second, but that's part of working in an active newsroom. Information is being shared, throughout with our producers, so we can continue to provide you the latest information. So we'll work on getting that latest information that's just coming into our newsroom from the desk. And like we mentioned before, a shelter-in-place has been issued for all locations within 5 miles of the airport and northbound all the way to the Ohio River. So that hopefully maybe gives you a different sense of just, again, if you're familiar with that area and that airport, hopefully it gives you a little bit of understanding of just where that shelter in place is and just the scope of them just trying to keep the roads clear, keep people safe inside, because you do have that debris, you have all that fuel, and we don't know what type of cargo UPS was carrying, what type of packages potentially were on that plane. So for the interest of safety and also air quality, I would imagine as well, they have that shelter in place in order to keep people inside, keep the roads clear, and keep people safe from potentially harmful emissions coming from this black plume of smoke, this thick cloud coming in at this hour. Thank you. Producer's handing me some water. My voice is a little hoarse right now. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. But again, as you can see, this is just really a difficult event that first responders and the community will be dealing with in the days to come, and certainly sudden. When we first saw the images, I just remember my first reaction when they told, I was sitting at my desk and they told me there was a crash at the airport, and we didn't know the particulars just yet. We didn't know if it involved a plane. We weren't sure of the circumstances, and then once we laid eyes on it, I know for me, for the first time, I couldn't believe it. It kind of just, my jaw dropped. My heart sunk at the same time, knowing that this is a devastating event. And again, we'll learn more. We don't know, again, any confirmation of injuries or potential casualties involved in this. But my heart sank when you just look at the thick cloud and the flames and just the trail as well, just how substantial and significant the trail of damage was there. And again, like I mentioned, because it was taking off, it had a tank full of fuel as well, which is obviously combustible and flammable. So that makes the situation all the more difficult as well. I don't know, because I'm not, again, familiar as much with aircrafts as other people, I don't know how many gallons of fuel an MD-11 could hold. I could potentially, maybe, Maria, is that something we could look into? Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing that, because that's part of the efforts that first responders are dealing with, at this hour, is they have all that burning fuel that they're trying to contain, and the flames just keep going and going. There was a point when we initially started getting those aerial shots and visuals from the crash. You just seemed to think that the fire was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I think it was our anchor, Tracy Hutchins, who pointed it out very astutely, mentioning that there was potential for that, full fuel tank and the issues that could come. 1 second, let me pause for just a second here. I'm going to cut back to the image here. Ellie, yes. 10s or 11s? Is there, you said? MD10s. You sent it into 21,000 gallons of fuel in MD10? 38,000 for MD11. That's gallons of fuel it can hold? Wow. Wow. And we will throughout the night. We're working on, I know our evening news team is working on finding experts in this space that could help us understand more about this. Actually, my brother-in-law works in the airlines. I probably could call him right now to try to get some more information. I won't put him on the spot at this hour. Yeah, you'll call him, Maria. I know he's very familiar with aircrafts because of what he does for a living. But 38,000 gallons of fuel just takes I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. So it just speaks to like the challenges that I've mentioned a couple times here already since we joined you here on ANF Plus that the first responders are dealing with. I'm always amazed at how they put themselves into harm's way anytime we have to go to these types of events and cover them and watch them, just what they will do to help those in need and help rescue and contain and minimize the damage. I was just handed something here. This is NTSB. Okay, so this is NTSB Twitter. This is from October 1st. So this is when the government shut down. This is the beginning of it from back in October. So my producer just handed me a statement. This is from their social media post on X. Like I said, anything that I'm going to be reading here tonight that's a statement, I'm always going to come back on camera. I want complete transparency for when you see me reading something. So again, this was just printed and handed to me. This is a statement from back in October. So this is not necessarily about tonight's event, but this is more about context, right? So you at home, we're on the same page, working together as we watch first responders there continue its efforts there on the ground in Louisville to again minimize damage, loss of life there by the airport. Just again the southern edge of the airport there in Louisville. So let me go ahead and read this statement. This was posted on X, and this is from the NTSB newsroom social media account. So if you're looking on giving it a follow, in case you want to go and look at it yourself, this is at NTSB_newsroom, in case you want to go read it for yourself. So here's what it says. Due to government funding lapse, the NTSB will only carry out emergency essential work to preserve life and property, including launches to accidents and events to protect and preserve evidence critical to determining the circumstances of the accident, probable cause, and recommendations necessary to protect life and property from a recurrence or similar catastrophe. Functions required to preserve or test in the field or laboratory property related to ongoing accident or event investigations. All investigation report production functions, which are intended to timely determine the circumstances of accidents, the probable cause, and recommendations necessary to protect life and property from the recurrence of similar catastrophes, such as the investigations into the mid-air collision in Washington, D.C., and the contact of the container ship with the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. So that just gives you, and then it just, again, outlines another example as well. And it says the NTSB Media Relations will only answer questions regarding active investigations during the ongoing government shutdown. So that kind of gives you a scope of how the NTSB is operating, and that's the National Transportation Safety Board, and how they're continuing to operate during this ongoing shutdown. We know so much has been affected. We've reported on it extensively here on Atlanta News First, just some of the challenges that many are enduring right now. And so we don't know, again, I want to be very clear, just because there's an ongoing shutdown and we know the NTSB in terms of how it's responding to media is limited, we don't know if that's affected anything in terms of the response here today on the ground. And like you can see, I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at home right now. You're seeing all the lights and many first responders. You do see some traffic flowing there in the background as well. Actually, let me switch shots so you can see that. Is there a way I can take off the super real quick, Maria? I can? Okay. Again, there we go. Perfect. I wanted to do that. There was a chopper feed. And the reason why I wanted the super to come down, because you can see traffic still flowing nearby. Again, they did just because they put a 5-mile shelter in place. Again, we don't know what type of roads in the surrounding area might be shut off at this time by the airport, but you can see, at least in that last shot, I guess they zoomed back in, you could have seen just a moment ago that that there was some traffic flowing, looks like by a major highway or interstate, is what it appeared to be, by the airport as well. Our lovely producer Maria now has some video she wants to help bring in. This is the daytime video. This is what I was explaining when we first came here on the stream, just to give you an idea. And that image right there, I think, speaks volumes. You can see trucks and the amount of fire, just the widespread nature of the devastation right by the airport, and just different vantage points from the sky as well. Just seeing, this is in the early moments following the crash. And you also see, that's an interesting shot. I didn't see that before. That looks to be the roof of a building. Thank you, Tracy. Worldport?
In Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Where it all happened.
Okay.
UPS is Worldport.
UPS is Worldport. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy, for giving that information as well. So if we can actually back up on that video again, I have some new information that's just coming in right now as we speak, but this is the shot. Can we go back and hold that?
Yep.
Thank you, Maria. Like this, I think this is essential right here. This is an interesting shot I did not see before. I mean, significant debris on top of a building right by the airport, right where near this crash happened. Again, I'm not going to say any more than that. Just let the image of that speak for itself right now. That in itself, I think, is very powerful and speaks volumes. Again, this is right by the site where we saw all the flames, where that building is. And then you see, again, video. This is not live. This is video from over the course of the last hour or so of first responders working on trying to contain the blaze. Now, if we want to go back live or let the video keep going, that's
Worldport video too.
okay. Worldport video as well. So where this airport in Louisville is UPS Worldport. So 130 aircraft fly in and out of there every single day, and this is giving you a good understanding. This video right here of just like how many. You see 70 docking stations like that they have at this airport. So we see a lot of cargo going in and out of this major hub there in Louisville. Kind of gives you an understanding of just the amount of planes and the type of aircrafts that are coming in and out of Louisville every single day. Louisville is UPS's international all-points hub. So it is a major, major location for UPS and how it gets packages shipped all across the world. In fact, 416,000 packages can be sorted out there per hour. And again, you're seeing some of that work there by UPS right there at home on the stream right now. So again, this is UPS Worldport. 130 aircraft fly in and out there every day. It helps serve more than 220 countries and territories around the world. And here's another fact as well that we're getting. This is the largest package handling facility in the world is in Louisville. And that's UPS's largest package handling facility in the world is in Louisville. And it's a $5.2 million square foot hub, and it's the center of their global air network. Now, this is just coming from UPS, just giving you an idea of this area here at Louisville, where we believe, Maria, be fair to say, is where we believe is where this crash is situated at, near the southern edge of the airport, near a cargo area. Again, you're getting some of that. You're getting some of that feeling, I think, when you're watching these images of the fire raging over the course of hours. Thank you for the more water there. And more information coming from UPS, just to give you a better understanding, like I mentioned. It's again, 70 docking stations, 416,000 packages can be sorted out there per hour. And Worldport, there in Louisville, is home to 20,000 UPSers and 300 daily flights, sorting through 400,000 packages, more than that, an hour. So I think that gives you the scope of just how much movement is always happening there at the airport with UPS, and just how they're able to transport and deliver all those packages around the world globally, and gives you a sense of what that space is there at UPS Worldport there in Louisville. So I hope that provides some context to what we're seeing tonight, and just kind of it's not just like an airport where people come and go and they travel. It's also a major cargo hub and shipping hub, obviously, for UPS, like we mentioned, with UPS Worldport situated right there in Louisville, right by the airport, with its prime location can reach 95% of the U.S. population within 4 hours of flying. And So certainly this will have far-reaching effects, and we can talk about packages and deliveries and all those things, but it just seems so insignificant, at this hour. But certainly we will know that there will be other effects from the airport shutting down there in Louisville and this fire and this situation, this investigation that will impact in different ways. But certainly the primary focus right now needs to be containing the fire, containing the situation, and making sure that. Thank you, Maria. I'll tell the folks at home in just a second here. And making sure, obviously, first responders are doing as well as they can to minimize, again, loss of life and damage. So, again, there's going to be far-ranging impacts from this. Now, I'm being told, because we're getting closer to the 7 o'clock hour, the advantage, disadvantage, I guess, being live, we're gonna keep the stream going. But what's going to happen here is we're also on TV at the same time, right? Over the air. So I'm going to do a live report briefly for folks watching on TV. If you're staying with us on the stream, great. We hope you do. But what's going to happen here is I have to do that live report first. So we're going to do that. So right now we're going to we'll be right back. So take a moment, turn on ANF. If you want to continue, we're going to be following this coverage right into our 7 o'clock hour. And so make sure you stay with us here on the stream and on air, and we'll continue to monitor the UPS plane crash there at Louisville Airport. Certainly, thoughts and prayers to those affected by this right now as we continue to learn as much information and share that with you at home. So we will be right back. I want to, Maria, since, and again, those of you watching at home, we appreciate you. This is, you're seeing the behind-the-scenes look of television here. Maria, can I get production in the other screen real quick, if that's okay? Maria's our great producer for the web. I need to learn more about what buttons to push here. That's part of my training. So if my boss is watching, yes, I will be working on getting trained fully so Maria doesn't have to watch over my shoulder to make sure I can execute here. So again, what you're about to see for those of you watching at home is we're going to do a live television hit. Now, I think you're only going to see me. I don't think you're going to see the live. So you're just going to see me. You're not going to actually see the live hit. Yes, I got you. Yep. We're on the stream. I'm talking to you while we're on the stream. So just, you want me to stick to what's... Okay, so I'm assuming it's scripted in there? Okay. I'll take a look at what you guys have for me in this. Sorry, I've just been speaking with the folks at home for the last half hour. So let me just see what you have for me here for the 7. Okay. All right, so you do have some information in there for me to share. All right, so first is the live. Okay. Yeah, so a little ad lib off the top. Okay, got you. That's fine. Okay, that sounds good. Now, are they sharing this as UPS Worldport in their intro, or should I mention that? Well, because Tracy shared some information, which I appreciate. And I apologize for the folks at home for my voice right now. I have twin girls at home, so I'm constantly corralling them. and a dog as well. So my voice gets a good workout daily. Here, so again, like I mentioned, we're waiting to go live on air here at 7 o'clock with the latest information. So at some point, you'll see me kind of get into a TV posture here for when our anchors will toss it out here for us to go over, again, what we've been sharing with you over the course, I believe, Maria, about a half hour now? A half hour. So we're in a commercial break, it looks like right now, but we'll be coming back on air any moment. So like I said, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're kind of like in the standby mode right now as we wait. And I will let you know at home as well when we're actually in the show, so you have a better idea kind of what we're doing. And then after the show, after this hit, we're going to go right back. We have some new video and sound as well we're going to share with you here on the stream on ANF+. So again, looks like we're about to go into the show, and we'll roll on from there. So we appreciate you staying with us here on ANF+. It means a great deal to us that you trust us to share and deliver this information with you as we continue to monitor the plane crash there in Louisville. And if you're wondering what I'm thinking right now, I'm just kind of at a loss of words. Just trying to like wrap my head around kind of what we're seeing. It's like one of those biggest fears, right? A plane crashing. All right, standing by. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and Tracy, Blair, I want to share some information. Tracy, you were kind enough to share with me as we've been on ANF Plus streaming, going over the latest situation that's developing there from Muhammad Ali Airport. As I'm sharing this, why don't we go live to the scene so you can just see the scope of the response. I do want to share this is a UPS Worldport, 130 aircraft fly in and out there every single day. In fact, Worldport is home to 20,000 UPSers and 300 daily flights, sorting out 400,000 plus packages an hour. This is information coming straight from UPS. They have 70 docking stations. This is just a massive international all points hub for UPS shipping packages. So we do know it was a UPS plane that crashed. Now let's get to some information about this crash of what we know so far. Preliminary coming from authorities there. The call came in around 5:15 this evening. UPS, an Atlanta-based company, confirms it is one of their aircrafts, telling Atlanta News First, quote, UPS has been notified of an accident involving one of our aircraft in Louisville, Kentucky. And at this time, UPS says it has not confirmed any injuries or casualties. Now, there is a shelter-in-place order for about 5 miles surrounding the airport, and authorities asking people to stay away from the area. You can imagine because of all the plumes of smoke, certainly not a safe situation as first responders continue to work to contain the fire and the debris. We'll be following this throughout the evening. I know we have more coverage right now, Blair and Tracy. We're going to stay on the stream to continue to provide the latest information and context to what has happened here. But certainly this is a very difficult moment for those folks, especially in the Louisville, Kentucky area. Blair, Tracy, back to you. So I'm assuming I'm not on broadcast anymore. Great. So let's, yeah, okay, so now we're back into, so we're still on the stream live? Okay, all right, we're gonna shift gears. So that was the So you kind of got a behind the scenes look, folks, of kind of how we do things here. This is not this is video we have from our station, sister station in Louisville, giving us those different vantage points after the crash took place. Again, this was on takeoff leaving from Louisville to Honolulu earlier this evening, and it was around 5:15, 5:20 when those calls came in about the crash. And again, you're seeing just the widespread devastation. So we have some different video and sound that we're going to play for you at this hour. We're just going to start with this is user video, right, Maria, that we're going to play out right now. This is we're looking at this together in real time. So that's, this is, one of those things. Wow. So this is from Jeremy Martin in Louisville, Kentucky. So I think I told you this earlier, but just to refresh, the crash was near the intersection of Fern Valley Road and Grade Lane. So again, I'm not exactly familiar with Louisville, Kentucky, if this could be one of those roads, but I'm assuming it's near that area in that intersection. You can just see from the Associated Press, this is user video, this is social media video, potentially was posted earlier by Jeremy Martin, it looks like, just showing kind of the initial. This is, again, around 5:15 is when calls of the crash came in. You're seeing the thick clouds of black smoke into the sky, traffic almost coming to a near standstill, understandably so. And then I think you see even in the distance, I don't know if those are car lights, Maria, or even first responder lights right there. It looks like they're almost shutting off access to the road moving ahead. So that's interesting video that we're getting into our newsroom right now, just giving that perspective, that context of what people were seeing in real time, just minutes, moments after the crash. We also have an interview. I don't know who this interview is with, but this is coming from our sister station in Louisville. So what I want us to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to play some of that sound for you from that interview. Let's go ahead and let's listen in.
Landing and taking off is just something I like to do. So for something like this to happen, extremely, extremely shocking. And, I know that there's injuries, but I hope for the best in a terrible situation.
And obviously, this is, I think we were talking about it in my ear right now. You have to go back a while to the last time something like this happened in Louisville. I mean, just what are your thoughts when you see the orange glow literally right behind you?
I thought it was one of my job, because I work right off Grade Lane, so I was hoping that everybody made it out okay. I was hoping it wasn't another explosion like we just had at Carbide Industries or that we just had at AAK, dealing with chemicals and, terrorist attacks and stuff going on like that. They just forwarded a plan on Halloween, I think it was. So I was just hoping that everybody was safe and, everybody made it home. But our prayers are with the families and, hope everybody made it home safe.
And you checked on your folks, so they all okay?
Yes, I checked with my folks. My family does live in the area, and I was, just checking in on them, make sure everything's okay, because they did have a stay away 5 miles. So we was trying to get to our families and loved ones as soon as we could, but police got everything blocked off down here, and it's kind of hard navigating through traffic when there is an emergency going on.
And just for the both of you, either one of you can answer. Just, I don't know, when you see the plume of smoke, when you see it going. I mean, it's darker now, but all the way back to the city. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Do you guys just have any thoughts about just how, I don't know, I want to say crazy, but like you said, unexpected this would have been?
Yeah.
My thought is he literally works on Fern Valley and Grade Lane. And so I just picked him up about 3:30, 3:45 this afternoon from work. And it is a very eerie feeling because, of course, we pass the UPS where you have to pass there, the planes every day, getting him from work, going to work. A very eerie feeling if we had been coming through there at that time. I was actually complaining about how long we had to wait at the light to get on the expressway just this afternoon, shortly before this happened. So, I mean, I hate for anybody to be involved, but very eerie, scary feeling that we could have possibly been in the area. Thankfully, we weren't.
Especially when it blocked out the moon. It's something horrific when it blocks out the moon.
Mm-hmm. The smoke was so big. Look, it's taking over the moon.
Thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you guys. Too long.
I certainly share that sentiment from the reporter there in Louisville. We certainly really appreciate the perspective. I think the last thing they said was rather poignant, just about how the smoke blocked out the moon and just how widespread and massive that thick cloud of smoke was following the UPS plane crash. And for those just tuning in, let me give you a sense of just the size of this plane. This is something that we shared earlier, but obviously there could be some new folks joining us at this hour. So this was a MD-11 aircraft. That's a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 airplane. That was it's owned by UPS, manufactured back in 1991. Our great research team here told me that it carries about 38,000 gallons of fuel. And for those that might not be familiar with an MD-11, you're like, okay, well, how big is an MD-11, right? Well, if we were to give it like a commercial size, maybe that will help. It's like a Boeing 777 or Boeing 767. So you're looking at a length potentially of close to around 200 feet. Again, I am not an aviation expert. This is just quick research, but it's just to give you a sense of just how massive this plane was in size. We do have some other video from earlier in today because this is just a live look. This is a live look of the response. You can see the flames seem to be dwindling a little bit. The cloud seems to be getting a little bit less in terms of the thick cloud. First responders have been there almost since I've had my eyes on this crash since I think around 5:35 we started getting images into our newsroom. And this is some of the first images we saw from our sister station there in Louisville, just giving you an understanding of the depth of the damage here. And you can just see because of that gallons of fuel, remember I told you it was taking off from the airport going to Honolulu, so it more than likely had close to a full tank of gas. And so that only compounded the situation when we're talking about the flames. And you can just see the trail of flames there and the smoke. And that's video coming from our sister station there in Louisville, just giving us understanding of the damaged trucks and buildings and just the sheer magnitude of all of this. And you can just see just from different vantage points. I'm getting some new information in here. I'm going to go ahead and we're shifting videos. Just continue to play. This is, I think we just shared this. This is, I think, the one I wanted to play out there. Is this the same one? Let me get here then. I want to switch video. We've seen that as well. We'll let this play out for a second. Some new information in here coming in. This is coming from the governor of Kentucky right now. That's Governor Andy Beshear. And I think these are very very poignant sentiments, and this is something I've been thinking and feeling as well. But here's what the governor shared in a post on X. The situation is serious. Please pray for the families affected. I'm headed to Louisville now. Again, this is where we don't know any confirmation of injuries. We know there were reported injuries. We don't know if there's any confirmation, though, or potential casualties. That's coming from UPS in a statement they sent to us earlier this evening. Remember, both the FAA and NTSB, the FAA and UPS pointing to the NTSB as the head for all new information coming out of this investigation. What I do want to share with you, too, is, again, we've been getting different information throughout the night. The airport in Louisville, this is where UPS Worldport is, and some of you might not know, what is UPS Worldport? Well, it's a UPS major international all-points hub for how they deliver packages. In fact, they can deliver over 400,000 packages. Well, they can sort through, 400,000 packages an hour, and it's home to 20,000 UPSers and 300 daily flights. Like I mentioned, the facility there that they have in this space in Louisville is a 5.2 million square foot hub, and they say it's the center of their global air network. So most importantly, it's the people that matter. It is the people that work in this area, work in this space, their lives, their families, that's first and foremost. But we do know that there could be wide-ranging effects when it comes to the delivery service, obviously, with this being a major international all-points hub. That is secondary and will continue to be secondary for now. But I'm trying to give people context and understanding as we go through the days and weeks here following this crash that took place. And again, this was when the MD-11 aircraft that UPS has there was looking to take off from Louisville, going to Honolulu this afternoon around 5:15. Maria, I wanted to. Where was that video? I'm sorry to bring you back up here. Where was that video of that building? I want to go back to that building again. I don't know how it relates to the crash. Not that. That's the Worldport in Louisville. So that was just for the Worldport. We just went over that. Probably should have played that video as I was talking about it. Do you remember that shot that we saw of that building? It didn't have any flames on it, but we just saw like indents. There it is. Can we pause it right there? Just for a moment. We don't know how this relates to the crash, but I just think it's something for those of you at home as we're trying to take in all these images and video in real time. We've seen a lot of images of the flames and the fire and the first responders there, but this one piece of video, this image right here really stands out to me. I don't know how it pertains to the crash, but this was shot by our sister station. You can see the debris on the roof kind of scattered about. There was also other images that were coming from our chopper there in Louisville, getting those aerial shots of seeing pieces of the plane kind of scattered, debris scattered about. So we don't know exactly why that roof sustained the amount of damage it did in that building space there is what it looks like. But I just think it's a very significant, powerful image for you just to look at for just a brief moment as we're trying to take in just the scope and the magnitude of all this devastation. I know there were other shots, you're not seeing them in some of the video clips here, where there was just scattered debris from the plane. I just remember seeing that before we did our first live hit here from the breaking news desk here at Atlanta News First. When we were looking at those aerial coverage, I could see just those different pieces scattered within the vicinity, again, by the southern edge of the airport there at Louisville, at the airport there. So again, you're just seeing these images, and it's difficult to understand just how much damage has been done. You can tell there's buildings that have been sustained significant damage. There were trucks. There's just widespread fire. I don't know much about the facility there. That's something we're working to learn. I think at this time we did tell you is a UPS Worldport at the airport there. It's a major international hub, so I'd have to imagine, and Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, that there had to be people at least working around that area at this time. She's nodding her head yes. And there's some more information just to share with you that I'm just getting from Maria, our producer. Like we did mention before, this crash happened near Fern Valley and Grade Lane by the airport, and like we did mention, the plane crashed while attempting to take off, like we said, to Honolulu. We don't know what happened as it was trying to take off. I mean, that's going to be part of the investigation and things that NTSB will be working to uncover and try to figure out like what went wrong in those moments before the plane crashed. So those are things that the NTSB will work to determine at this time. We're also getting different statements from different folks there in Louisville, including the mayor there, Craig Greenberg. He released a following statement about the crash. Maria, I think you know what I like to do here. Like anytime I read a statement, I want you to be able to see me reading the statement. I think that's just very key. Anytime we do a statement here. So this is from the Louisville mayor, Craig Greenberg, and he released the following statement earlier tonight. That Rachel and I are praying for victims of the UPS plane that crashed during takeoff at 5:15 p.m. We have every emergency agency responding to the scene. There are multiple injuries, and the fire is still burning. And you see, even at this hour, we're talking, and I interrupted his quote there, so I'll tell you when I come back into his quote. This is just me talking to you. You can see the fire is still, at this exact hour, still very difficult to get it completely to be contained completely and fully. Like we mentioned, when it took off, it probably had a full tank. And like we mentioned, MD-11s can carry up to 30,000 gallons worth of fuel. So certainly very difficult situations for first responders. And it's going to be really, really hard at this hour to know how many people are injured or affected by this, because first you have to contain the fire. You have to get the situation under control. Then you can begin to assess the damages, but we know injuries have been reported. Let me continue on with the statement. Quote, this is from the mayor of Louisville, Craig Greenberg, continuing on his statement. There are multiple injuries and the fire is still burning. There are many road closures in the area. Please avoid the scene. The plane. Okay, so this is different. So Maria, I want you to hear this as well. This is different than what we've been sharing. This is 280,000 gallons of fuel in the statement. I didn't. Pounds. Well, okay.
But the statement does say
Gallons. So okay.
I will say that I have a friend that works for you.
Okay, so that the statement from the mayor isn't exactly okay. So the mayor, this is how we all work together. Carly Barnett, our fantastic anchor, standing right by as I'm reading the statement, there to help, because that caught me by surprise, like 280,000 gallons, my goodness. And of course, we'll have a briefing from Governor Beshear. He's on his way to Louisville, like we mentioned. This is why we work in tandem here together at Atlanta News First, because all this information is just free-flowing all at once. Everything's so very fluid, especially in a catastrophe like this, where we're just trying to sort out all the moving parts, and we're not aviation experts. We're working on getting information from experts and to share that with you so we can learn more just about the situation and why we're kind of at this point right now. So we are going to welcome in. We're going to do a handoff, like we like to call it here in the news world, with anchor Carly Barnett. And Carly, I know we've all just been following and looking at these images for quite some time. They're devastating. They're shocking. It's hard to fathom just the scope of the devastation. Just the thing that stood out to me is, I don't know about you. I want to get your thoughts in a second here. Is just a long trail. That one shot, that live shot. I know you're seeing it right now at night. We're at night, and it's hard to maybe gauge it, Carly. But that just long trail of fire and smoke, it leaves you at a loss for words, knowing that there's going to be significant impacts here following this plane crash, again, of this UPS MD-11 taking off from the airport in Louisville, going to Honolulu.
Joe, I mean, the images are really sobering, and I think that when we first got those images into the Atlanta News First newsroom, we kind of all gasped, just first seeing that huge black cloud of smoke, and then the fire that we saw as well, and the destruction that was left behind. It's very sad to know that we have confirmed at this point that 3 people were on board, at least 3 people at the time. We are still waiting for a lot more information from the FAA, from the NTSB, about, first of all, what exactly took place, because we know that this was really just shortly after takeoff. The plane was headed from Louisville to Honolulu, and something took place. There was a huge fire resulting in essentially an explosion after that. I have been in touch with a friend of mine, actually, who is a meteorologist who also happens to be a pilot. He was saying that the smoke plume reached 3,200 feet in the air. In fact, the radar picking it up almost as if it were a thunderstorm. That is just telling you how huge this actually was, that a cloud of smoke was actually picked up on a radar, a weather radar, as if it were a thunderstorm, as if it were some sort of weather event. So we are continuing to look at these images. We know that crews are still on the ground. You can see here just how many different emergency vehicles are out there. It gets harder to tell at night. I mean, you can really see the lights and sirens better at night, but as far as the work that is taking place, it's difficult to make out. But we know that this is going to continue well into the night, and we know the investigation will be taking place long after that. We are here at Atlanta News First. If you're just now joining us, my name is Carly Barnett. I'm an anchor here with Atlanta News First, and you may be wondering, hey, this is happening in Louisville. What is Atlanta's connection to this? Well, UPS is actually based in Sandy Springs, just outside of Atlanta. And so UPS confirmed to our reporter Justin Berger, who is currently at UPS headquarters now, that there were 3 people on board at the time, 3 UPS employees at least we know of. But this has a very strong Metro Atlanta connection. We can see the shot zooming out now, giving us a little bit better perspective, just what a large scene they are working with. And we can even see into the night the smoke still going into the sky, and you can kind of see it up against the colors of the lights and sirens that are out there now. This also actually having to prompt a shelter-in-place order within 5 miles of the airport. Certainly, we know that there was a lot of fuel on board, about 280,000 pounds. We know that the statement initially said gallons, but again, in speaking with a friend of mine, a pilot friend of mine, it was very likely that they meant 280,000 pounds, which roughly equates to, they said, 40 gallons. So this is just something that we are continuing to watch in real time. We have not received any further details or specifications that we can tell you about yet. But we have crews there in Louisville now, and we are going to continue to stay on top of this. In fact, Atlanta News First anchor Joe Gorcho, who has been bringing you these breaking details, he will be headed to Louisville here shortly himself as we continue to hear what's happening. Looks like we have a press conference here now to see if are we getting a live, is this a live look here? Okay, they're still getting set up for this press conference. But we are going to tune into that here shortly to make sure that we can get the latest information here from officials. We know the governor had said that he is going to be speaking here soon. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg released a following statement saying, quote, "Rachel and I are praying for the victims of the UPS plane crash that crashed during takeoff at 5:15 p.m. We have emergency agencies responding to the scene. There are multiple injuries and the fire is still burning. There are many road closures in the area. Please avoid the scene." So we are starting to get more details, and we're hoping to get more clarity when we have officials take to the podium here. It should be happening only moments from now. We are going to bring that to you live. We want to go ahead and point out this is a good time to go ahead and download our Atlanta News First app. If you do have to step away, if you can't be in front of the TV, we are going to be bringing you more news tonight at 9 and 10 and 11 on Atlanta News First. But if you have that Atlanta News First app and you turn on the notifications, you will receive those breaking updates. If you receive those push alerts, that's going to come right to your phone. And when we learn more details, you will learn more details. To go ahead and backtrack a little bit, if you're just now joining us, we want to say what exactly took place here today. We know that it was around 5:15 this evening, local time there in Kentucky, that after departing from the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, this flight crashed, and you're seeing video of the aftermath there. What a huge scene. And look at this smoke, just how dark and ominous that smoke billowing into the sky, and the fire that we've seen as a result. We know the FAA and NTSB are investigating, and we know that the flight was taking off from Louisville and was going to be headed to Honolulu. But this was UPS flight 2976, and it really didn't make it long past unfortunately, takeoff. We do know that there is going to be a press conference at 8:30, so just 1 hour from now. We know that there is going to be more details released on this from officials. At this point, I'm just getting some information here from our producer. So we know that right now, and we're going to continue to bring you updates as we learn them here on the First Alert Breaking News Desk. Right now, they have not confirmed any injuries or casualties, but we do know that 3 people were on board at the time so far. Now, there's a shelter-in-place order. If you live in Louisville, if you know somebody who does, good idea to make sure they know. A shelter-in-place has been issued for everywhere within a 5-mile radius of the airport and northbound, actually, to the Ohio River. So we know several different agencies are out there tonight. So again, we have some updates on the gallons of fuel. About 38,615 gallons. So let's see. Some can hold more, in fact, to 42,584. So my pilot/meteorologist friend was right on the money with that, guessing that it was about 40,000. So you think about all of that fuel, you think about what's happened with this plane crash, and that is, we are seeing, unfortunately, the aftermath of what that looks like. This is hitting home here for Metro Atlanta, too, with UPS being an Atlanta-based company. We were bringing you these live details just as soon as we got this breaking news this evening. Shortly after 5:15. I think it was right around 5:30 that we got things confirmed here in our newsroom. And so, Atlanta News First, we have been on top of this breaking news since it happened. If you want a little bit of a refresher, you can always go to atlantanewsfirst.com for any continued updates. You can also you're watching our stream now, but you can go back and watch from the beginning on YouTube as well, because we have just been getting more and more details about what exactly took place. So, we are aware that the governor of Kentucky, he knows of the reports. We do anticipate he and others to be speaking here in about an hour, so that we can learn more about, one, what may have caused this crash, two, what exactly happened, because the video appears to show fire on one of the wings of the plane, and of course, three, the injuries or the loss of life that happened as a result of this. So these are all still things that we are waiting to hear, to give you just a little bit of an idea of what's taking place on our end. We're actually having a meeting right now where our producers, our reporters, our anchors are all speaking about more information we can get, the contacts that we can go to. Like I said, we have a reporter right now at UPS headquarters. We have a crew there in Kentucky as well, and we have those boots on the ground that we are awaiting more information from. Of course, this is just really devastating to have to witness, and we are watching and waiting as well, as we know so many others are, to continue to get more information. And in fact, I'm looking myself too, just to make sure, to see if we have any other further details that I can confirm to you. Not at this point, but obviously just a very scary scene. We know it is going to be a very long night there in Louisville. Let's see. Yeah, we're just seeing continued videos. You may have seen on social media just the explosion, the smoke billowing into the sky. I mean, just the horrific scene that came as a result. I have a friend who works in Louisville. She was saying that it was you could hear the results of this. So I certainly cannot imagine being there, witnessing this, and for everyone else who was at the airport as well. So we will be getting some more information here from officials in less than an hour at this point, and you can continue to stay with us here on atlantanewsfirst.com as we bring those to you live. We know just about 40,000 gallons of fuel on board that plane. We know 3 crew members at least were on board that plane. This all happening at the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport there in Kentucky, just as it was about to take off to Honolulu, Hawaii. This was a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 cargo aircraft. It was UPS Flight 2976. And we're just still waiting to hear what exactly happened. Obviously, a very scary, very devastating scene that we are witnessing. There's been a shelter-in-place order. Certainly, you can anticipate with that amount of smoke that went into the sky, the amount of fuel, certainly impacts on the air quality out there. And, yeah, just really, really hard to witness. We're just looking to see, I'm continuing to refresh, if you're wondering what I'm doing on my end, to see what more details we can report at this point, but that's how these investigations go. We're going to take a quick break here, gather ourselves. I'm going to step into this meeting real quick, and we will come back here in just a few moments.
And thank you so much for being with us here at the First Alert Desk on Land News First Plus. So we did just receive word that the news conference out of Louisville, Kentucky is starting here shortly. We're going to take you to remarks from officials now. I do apologize. We are having technical difficulties with audio. Our teams are troubleshooting. We're going to get you that shot here with sound shortly.
And a number of others, because this is an all-hands-on-deck response, and everyone's contributions are appreciated and will be recognized. At approximately 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, UPS Flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in a catastrophic crash here in Louisville adjacent to our airport. UPS will be releasing more facts as available. The National Transportation Safety Board will be in charge of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it. Other agencies involved that are at the scene or available: the Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, the Louisville Fire Department, the Lexington Fire Department, the Bardstown Fire Department, the Shepherdsville Fire Department, Louisville Emergency Management, the Fern Creek Fire Department, Pleasure Ridge Park Fire Department, Fairdale Fire Department, Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, Jeffersontown Fire Department, Airport Police Department, Louisville Metro Police, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, St. Matthews Police Department, Shively Police Department, KSP, Louisville Metro EMS, MSD, Louisville Gas and Electric, Kentucky Emergency Management. Again, we have virtually every single fire, police, and emergency response group that is responding right now to what you're seeing. At this time, we've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow. Right now, we believe we have at least 3 fatalities. So I believe that number is going to get larger. We have at least 11 injuries, some of them very significant, that are being treated by local hospitals. Again, I think that number will get larger. There is a victim family reunification center being set up at the Louisville Metro Police Training Academy. That is 2911 Taylor Boulevard. Victim services personnel will be on site and on location for anyone who needs information. The United Way is also offering shelter to anybody that's been impacted. You can call them at 502-376-6617. Updates on the operation of the Louisville International Airport will be shared after we're completed here around 8:15 via press conference with Louisville Emergency Management. Right now, we believe that the main area hit consisted of 2 businesses, though we know there were more businesses impacted. The first is Kentucky Petroleum Recycling. We are seeking more information, but it looks like they were hit pretty directly. The second is Grade A Auto Parts. Grade A has been in contact. They've accounted for all of their employees but 2, but they do not know how many other individuals, customers, or others could have been on site at the time. Because of the nature of these facilities, it may be some time before we can account for everyone or know that no one else was on the grounds. They're going to provide us with descriptions of the 2 missing employees soon. Again, there's no direct information about non-employees who were there at the time. The radius for the shelter in place has been adjusted. It is now anything north of the airport to the Ohio River. That includes, without limitation, South Louisville, Old Louisville, and downtown. LG&E had some equipment that has been damaged, but they're reporting no major outages at the time. They may, for safety purposes, have to have some outages. Please understand that if that's done, that's to protect you and the people working on it. I've been in direct contact with the CEO of Ford Motor Company. I can tell you that the Ford plant there was not hit, though it has lost power or did lose power for a period of time, but with the number of employees working there, that's a blessing. I've also been in touch with the head of security for the convention center, and everyone is sheltering in place that is there. They have stopped people coming in for the upcoming events for people's safety, and I know they'll be sending out additional information. Anybody who has seen the images in the video know how violent this crash is. And there are a lot of families that are going to be waiting and wondering for a period of time. We're going to try to get them that information as fast as we can. But if this is a family you know, please give them your support. Please give them your prayers. Please give them your love and be with them, because the toughest moments, and I can say it from personal experience, are when you're wondering whether that person that you know and you care about has survived something like this. We do not, at the moment, have the status of the crew. Watching that video, I think we're all very, very worried about them. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Carr with the mayor's office. Let me say I've talked to the mayor 6 times since this has happened. He was out of town, which was completely scheduled. He is moving heaven and earth to be back, and he will be back. And from somebody who has been out of town when some of these things happened, let me tell you, he is completely and fully on top of it, in communication, and his crew behind me is responding as well as I've seen any group do. And trust me, I've sadly seen a lot of disasters, whether like this or through weather. So I'll turn it over to Julie Carr.
I'm Deputy Mayor Julie Carr. First and foremost, Mayor Greenberg has been in constant contact with those on the ground, emergency operations, Governor Beshear, and our federal partners. and he would like me to express that he and Rachel have the victims of today's crash in their hearts and prayers. He is asking the entire city of Louisville to join them in praying for the victims, their families, and our first responders, who bravely rushed to the scene to save people and are still actively working to put the fire out. Our hearts are with those affected by this tragic incident. The mayor's office is working closely with first responders, federal authorities, and emergency management teams to respond and secure the area. The mayor is traveling and is expected to be back in Louisville before 9 p.m. He will be here to update our city as more information becomes available. I'm now going to ask Jody Meinman, Executive Director of Emergency Services, to give more of an update.
All right, we're going to hear from Jody in a second. I also have a statement from Representative Morgan McGarvey, who is in Washington, D.C. He says, tonight our community was rocked by a devastating plane crash at the Louisville airport. Representative McGarvey says, my heart breaks for the pilots, crew, and their families, and he's praying for everyone impacted. He's grateful for the bravery of our first responders as they continue their work throughout the night to respond quickly and heroically to this horrific incident. We still do not have complete details on how this tragedy occurred, but I've spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board and will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get answers and do what we can to help all those affected. And I know your emergency management director is going to say the same thing, but the thing I left out is do not go to the crash site. You will put people in danger. You will put yourself in danger. There may be people that still need to be rescued. Do not be the reason that the first responders cannot get to them. There are still dangerous things that are flammable, that are potentially explosive at the site. Chief O'Neill was filling me in on that. All of his people and everybody else there are currently safe, but they are trained. The general public is not. So do not go to the site. Director?
Thank you, Governor. So we provided and are assisting currently with on-scene coordination between all the agencies. And initially, obviously everybody can see how big this site actually is. You're not only dealing with the aircraft itself, but you're dealing with several businesses that were affected. Some of those businesses have some issues and some hazards on them that we have to address as well. So establishing that incident management team and that initial unified command between all the agencies that you see standing behind me, as well as the ones that are on site. The Okolona Fire Department was the initial local fire department that was dispatched, and then the city of Louisville was dispatched very recently after that, after multiple calls started coming into our 911 center. But there's three phases of this response. It's life safety, it's incident stabilization, and it's property conservation. And we're still in the life safety step in that process. And what I mean by that is we're still going door to door in the area to make sure that every business, every facility, and there's a couple private residences, everybody's accounted for and everybody has evacuated that immediate area. Our shelter in place, we initially did that at a 5-mile radius because the wind was doing some things and pushing the smoke in different areas, and as hot as the fire was, it was kind of creating its own atmosphere and doing really what it wanted to do. So we're working to narrow that. You heard the governor already say that we've narrowed it a little bit, and we hope in the next couple of hours to narrow that as a little bit more. We started to provide initial air monitoring, very close and immediate on site. We continue that air monitoring now. We've got the 41st CST that's on site that's providing that. And they're also providing us some plume modeling that will give us the opportunity, again, a little bit later in the shortcoming to be able to narrow that as well. Like the governor said, stay away from the area. There's a lot of emergency response agencies there, not only from Jefferson County, but our surrounding counties. I can't thank the response enough. But again, we're still in that life safety phase. Instant stabilization, they're doing that at the same time. Like I said, it's a very large area that's been affected by this, and they have to narrow that down and start to go into that area to make sure that they can identify all the future hazards that can present themselves during this emergency. The area that we've got isolated as far as traffic has been done by Louisville Metro Police and our Sheriff's Office. Again, so take a look at those, and please stay out of that. Please stay out of that area so it helps with our life safety and our incident stabilization. We'll continue this as long as we can. They have been able to make some headway on the fire to start to get in there. There were several explosions initially from the site itself, just by some of the hazards that were created by the facilities that it impacted. Like I said, we'll be on site. We'll provide more information as we get it through the night. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Humphrey, Chief of Police, Louisville Metro Police. I will reiterate what the Governor and Director Myman said. Please avoid the area and allow first responders to do the work to rescue, recover, and stabilize that scene. I will also say that in the meantime, before we can have a more formal update, please direct all of your attention to the social media of Louisville Emergency Management for any real-time updates. We will have a Family Reunification Center set up at the Louisville Metro Police Academy at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. There we'll have our victim services unit that will be able to help any families get in contact with anyone they need. Again, please stay away from the area. Allow those first responders to do their job to make sure that that scene is as safe as possible. This will be an ongoing active scene for the next several days. We don't know how long it's going to take to render that scene safe for the investigation to take place. The NTSB will be the lead in the investigation, so as of right now, we will not be able to answer any questions related to the cause of this crash until the NTSB is able to give us more information. And with that, I will turn it over to the Senator.
Good evening, Chief Brian O'Neill, Louisville Fire Department. I want to reiterate, this happened in Okolona, and so I want to make sure we give credit to the fact that the Okolona Fire Department, first on the scene, took command of the scene, and so we are there in support to help them. And we've got units from the rest of the Jefferson County Fire Departments there, as well as surrounding counties. Obviously, the Airport Fire Department is a huge factor in this as well. We've also received assistance from some of the industry around here that has firefighting foam. That is absolutely necessary. As you heard, this was a UPS plane that was taking off, getting ready to go all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii. So we're talking about over 250,000 gallons of jet fuel that was on that plane. So we're talking about a very, very dangerous situation. The area that's affected on Grade Lane at Melton, and it's about a city block wide. You've got fuel recycling storage and some bulk fuel storage that's right there. You also have the auto parts area. There's a lot of issues that are going on with being able to surround and try to contain this fire. When I left the scene about 40 minutes ago, the crews there were doing an amazing job. Again, all credit to the firefighters on the scene. They are doing incredible work, and they are containing this fire. Basically, you have to surround it. Where I was with some of our crews was on the north and west side, and you've got Okolona and other people that were leading the charge on that south side to try to just bring it in and bring it in and bring it in. But as I said, we're dealing with not only the initial fuel spill, but all the additional that was on site there. So it's going to be a little while. I've got to reiterate, I know you're going to be tired of hearing this, but you're going to keep hearing it. Try to be patient. Listen to emergency management for any updates. I know you might be eager to try to call to try to find out what's going on. I promise you, people are busy, people are working, they're doing everything they can to keep you safe. I want to address really quick the rest of the city. We have called in one of our off shifts. We have 3 different platoons of firefighters, so we've got off shift firefighters to staff to back up. So rest assured, the entire city is still protected and still covered with plenty of fire safety, even though we have so many units that are down there south of the airport. So if there's any need for any other emergencies, you are covered, you are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. I am State Senator Keturah Herron, and I represent the 35th Senate District. And on behalf of the Kentucky Senate General Assembly, I want to acknowledge how jarring it is for the residents of Louisville and the surrounding areas to watch this tragedy hit so close to home, to happen in a place where many of us frequent on a regular basis, that many of us watch our family members and loved ones pass through on a regular basis, and to have to process this information and to know that there's been loss of lives, it's very hurtful. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the families that we know have been impacted, to the surrounding neighborhoods and communities. And I just want to urge our residents, as it's already been said, to be patient, to stay away from the scene, and to come together at this time of this tragedy. And I want to, again, thank the first responders, the ones that are still there on the scene, and we will make sure that we keep you all updated with additional information. And I will turn it over to Representative Lisa Wilner.
State Representative Lisa Wilner, representing House District 35, which goes all around the airport. This is a sad and heavy occasion. I am filled with gratitude and respect for the work of our first responders, for their courage, for their training, for their teamwork, for their bringing so many different units together on such short notice. I'm grateful to our governor for getting here so fast from Frankfurt. My heart is with the families, all the community members who work for UPS, the folks who work at the airport and are there every day and are already under so much strain because of the government shutdown. This is a time for us as a community to come together. Once again, I am so proud to be a Louisvillian. We are a city of compassion. We are a city of love. I just want to ask that we keep one another in our prayers and our thoughts, that we extend kindness at every opportunity, and that we really use this opportunity to look out for our neighbors and to take care of ourselves and one another.
Okay, my name is Betsy Rui, and I represent Metro Council District 21, and the airport is in the heart of my district. And first, I would like to thank all the leadership of the first responders behind us and all the first responders out there in the field. This is what you all train for. I'm sad that we have to actually use all your training, but I'm glad that you have it. And my heart goes out to everybody at UPS, because this is a UPS town. My cousin's a UPS pilot. My aide's tennis partner is a UPS pilot. The intern in my office works overnight at UPS to pay for college. We all know somebody who works at UPS, and they're all texting their friends, their family, trying to make sure everyone is safe. Sadly, some of those texts are probably going to go unanswered. My heart goes out to those families and those friends. And thank you.
I want to acknowledge we also have our FBI special agent in charge with us today. Are grateful for her participation. With that, I'll open it up to questions, but a couple of things. I'm not going to speculate about the cause. That's for the NTSB to determine, and do not want to interfere in that in any way. And the other thing I'd say is we'll get more information on the numbers of fatalities. We'll get more information on the number of injuries. Know that information is fluid. I would tell you, after the tornado in Mayfield, I was standing outside of a factory where I was sure 100 people were dead. And we ended up only losing 13, and that's a lot of people. But pray. It works. It helps. Let's pray that the number of Kentuckians or any other folks that we lost stays as low as possible. With that, if you have questions, I'll do my best. I don't believe, yeah.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we're searching every building, every area, and like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
If you see the live images that thankfully emergency management can get, you see these heroic firefighters moving from building to building to building as fast as they can, because if somebody's trapped, they're going to get to them.
Yeah, so right now it's from the airport, basically from the airport or right around the outer loop area north. If you live in Jefferson County and you're in that, I know that's a circle that's on the screen up there behind you guys, but you know we're thinking anybody north of that. We hope to be able to narrow that down as accurate plume modeling is taking place, and it should be done now. So we may be able to reduce that even more, that footprint even more here just in the next couple of hours. Right now, that's it. The smoke, for the most part, is going up into the atmosphere and going north. We've also been in touch with our partners from Clark County, Indiana, because some of the smoke is going towards them as well. So they're making decisions. So if you live on the other side of the river, please make sure that you're paying attention. If there is any notifications that are going out over there, make sure you're paying attention to those as well.
And there's a lot of numbers we're getting from the fire chief. I think he said 220,000 gallons. It's 220,000 pounds, which is about 38,000 gallons. So he remembered those numbers a lot better than I would without them written down. All right, anybody else? Yeah. We have not received information we can confirm on their status. From the videos that I've seen, I'm very concerned for them. But again, I'm still praying. Because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon, and we'll also want to make sure before we confirm anyone specific is deceased that we've talked to their family, who deserve to hear that information first. Yeah, we'll get that information out. Depending on how much news there is, we may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners, knowing that this is information that people want and need, and please direct any questions to us. But we don't currently have another one scheduled yet. We'd want to make sure we had enough information that came in to warrant it. So the airport is going to have their press conference here right when we're done, and are going to start addressing that. What I'd say, even with somebody who's supposed to have a flight here soon, is they should only do it when it's safe. And this is a great airport that I've used a lot. I trust their leadership, and I'll look forward to hearing what they have to say. All right, thank you all very much. And again, tough day for Louisville, tough day for Kentucky, tough day for this region. We are strong people. I've seen it time and time again, flooding, tornadoes, shootings. That's the last time I drove here this fast to make sure I got here. We've always banded together. We will again. Let's make sure before anything else, we put the families of those that are lost, the families of those that we're worried about first. They deserve it. Let's make sure we pray for them and we support them with everything we have. Thank you, Kentucky.
And you just heard from officials out of Louisville, Kentucky, the Kentucky governor himself, really releasing a lot of updates that we didn't have, that you folks were asking about, that we were trying to work with officials to get. And I just want to emphasize that we are still piecing together the latest on what we know regarding what surrounding businesses are affected, really what led to that crash, and of course the details that will come out as NTSB conducts their investigation. What we can tell you right now is that 3 people are dead, 11 are injured, and there is a continued search for more people to make sure that everyone who is either working there or in the area is accounted for. We did hear from the governor saying several agencies are involved, and NTSB is leading this investigation. They also did note that the Grade A auto parts, all employees there are accounted for. That was one of the businesses that was near the airport where that crash took place. The LG reported damage. We did hear from the governor say that Ford Motor Company plant was not hit but did lose power shortly after. Now, it's important to note out of this as well that when that plane crashed, and we're talking about the magnitude of flames, I just want to bring you to video. I'm going to drop my live bug here so there's no confusion. This is not live. This is video that we've obtained that we're playing for you of the inferno that really became the Louisville Muhammad Ali Airport. that really paints a picture of the damage. And then we saw and heard from officials just now saying that they've had to expand the radius to anything north of the airport to the Ohio River because they're dealing with flames, they're dealing with smoke, they're dealing with wind picking those things up and moving them to what is considered hazardous and possibly flammable areas. So they are still mitigating some of this damage, putting out those hot spots. The governor emphasizing more than anything, do not go to this crash site. Do not try to drive up to it and see it for yourself. You are going to, in the governor's own words, make it harder for first responders to be on scene, to conduct this investigation and make sure that they are getting everyone out safely and that they are being able to track down who is there, who has made it out without having extra folks show up. So do not go to the plane crash site, echoing the governor's words there. Wind continuing to be an issue for officials as they respond here. We're going to continue to stay on top of that. I also wanted to emphasize, we're bringing you this major breaking news story. An important Atlanta connection is that UPS is headquartered here in Atlanta. So we are also talking with the UPS team, getting statements from them, one of which I actually do want to read to you here. This was one of the initial statements we got about a little over an hour ago from UPS saying that at around, I'm going to actually read you exactly what this says. I'm going to come on camera so that you can see me as I read this statement. Again, these are not my words. This is from the UPS team as they're continuing to really react and follow along with what investigators are telling them, saying UPS, quote, at approximately 5:20 p.m., UPS flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in an accident in Louisville. At this time, we have not confirmed any injuries or casualties. UPS will release more information as they become available, but the National Transportation Safety Board is in charge of the investigation and will be the primary source of information about the official investigation. And we know, of course, that 3 people are confirmed to be dead, 11 others are injured, and we're still piecing together the details. Now, the FAA also releasing a statement earlier that I want to read to you, so I'll come back on camera for that portion, saying UPS flight 2976 crashed around 5:15. So we heard from UPS 5:20. The FAA is saying it's 5:15 on Tuesday, November 4th, after departing from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky. The McDonnell Douglas MD-11 was headed to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport in Honolulu. The FAA and NTSB will investigate. The NTSB will lead the investigation and provide updates. So similar really messaging from UPS, from the FAA, and just keep in mind that we are a couple hours into this. So that news conference, the first bit of information that we received that was really a major update in what we know so far. So we know right now that 3 people, again, were on board. We also know that there were 3 fatalities, 11 injuries. There was no known luggage. We are still working to learn about the businesses and workers in the area and really the impacts to those businesses. We did hear about a couple, and the impacts that they're dealing with majorly were the explosions that came out of that plane crash. So from the flames, from flammable objects, and that smoke and wind that picked up some of that damage that you're seeing on your screen here. Victims, families of the victims are being kept in the loop. They are still working to track them down and set up an information exchange in the nearby area, of course, and United Way is currently offering shelter for those that were impacted. Now, I mentioned the businesses that were in the area. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling was hit directly. Grade A Auto Parts, not directly impacted, but they did say they did lose power, and they are still working to contact 2 employees. So everyone from Grade A Auto Parts accounted for except for 2 employees right now. We are also working with officials to get more information about those 2 missing employees and see if we can relay that to you as well. There is a radius shelter from the airport north to the Ohio River, and of course the big messaging from the mayor is do not approach this crash site. Allow investigators to conduct their investigation as we work to get more information in the coming hours and the coming days. I do want to take you out to some user video that we received. This is from Jeremy Martin. I'm going to drop my graphic here so you can see a little better. Really, in the initial moments that crash happened, you could see the plume of smoke billowing up into the air, and then further up there you see what looks like first responder lights and sirens, and what we can assume is the beginning of blocking off this area as that emergency response got underway. And as the sun set and the night took over, we really saw how far those flames expanded and traveled across this area again, and wind continuing to be that issue. We also are keeping in touch with our sister station, WAVE, in Louisville, Kentucky, hard at work with their wall-to-wall coverage on this very important breaking news that we're continuing to bring you. And they were able to speak to some witnesses in the area, so I do want to play that interview for you now.
Taking off is just something I like to do. So for something like this to happen, extremely shocking. And, I know that there's injuries, but I hope for the best in a terrible situation.
And obviously, this is, I think we were talking about it in my ear right now. You have to go back a while to the last time something like this happened in Louisville. I mean, just what are your thoughts when you see the orange glow literally right behind you?
I thought it was one of my job, because I work right off Gray Lane, so I was hoping that everybody made it out okay. I was hoping it wasn't another explosion like we just had at Carbide Industries or that we just had at AAK, dealing with chemicals and, terrorist attacks and stuff going on like that. They just forwarded a plan on Halloween, I think it was. So I was just hoping that everybody was safe and, everybody made it home. But our prayers are with the families and, hope everybody made it home safe.
And you checked on your folks, so they all okay?
Yes, I checked on my folks. My family does live in the area, and I was, just checking in on them, make sure everything's okay, because they did have a stay away 5 miles. So we was trying to get to our families and loved ones as soon as we could, but police got everything blocked off down here, and it's kind of hard navigating through traffic when there is an emergency going on.
And just for the both of you, either one of you can answer. Just, I don't know, when you see the plume of smoke, when you see it going, I mean, it's darker now, but all the way back to the city, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Do you guys just have any thoughts about just how, I don't know, I want to say crazy, but like you said, unexpected this would have been?
Yeah.
My thought is he literally works on Fern Valley and Grade Lane. And so I just picked him up about 3:30, 3:45 this afternoon from work. And it is a very eerie feeling because, of course, we pass the UPS where you have to pass there, the planes every day, getting him from work, going to work. A very eerie feeling if we had been coming through there at that time. I was actually complaining about how long we had to wait at the light to get on the expressway just this afternoon, shortly before this happened. So, I mean, I hate for anybody to be involved, but very eerie, scary feeling that we could have possibly been in the area. Thankfully, we weren't.
Especially when it blocked out the moon. It's something horrific when it blocks out the moon.
Mm-hmm. The smoke was so big. Look, it's taking over the moon.
Thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you guys. Be long.
And of course, I just want to shout out our team in Louisville, Kentucky, WAVE. This is the important part where we are talking to the residents in the area, talking to investigators, and relaying information to you as quickly and as efficiently as we can, especially when we're live here on ANF+. We're following along with you and kind of learning everything together. Just want to take you out to that video as you heard from that couple saying it's eerie, it's surreal to witness something like this and to know that it happened at such a busy airport. So our thoughts are with the families and those impacted, and of course with the investigators that are working around the clock to make sure that they're locating everyone and getting as much information out to everyone as quickly as they can. All right, I'm going to reset here for a moment. It is election day here in Metro Atlanta and across Georgia. We have some important races that we've been following since polls opened this morning at 7 a.m. Those polls now closed. We know the Atlanta races, they allowed an extension to happen up until 8 o'clock, so you could vote for that extra hour that most of us don't usually get, but those polls did close about 16 minutes ago. So I do want to take you through our results as they're starting to pour in. Now, at this time, we have not confirmed that any race has been called, but we are starting to see the numbers pour in, and I want to share some of those with you on your screen. So Atlanta City Council District 4, District 7 here, you're starting to see that lead build and those numbers. And again, this can always switch as we continue to start to see more numbers come in, and our team is going to continuously update that for you. But taking you through city council districts, those were on the ballots, as well as you'll see here shortly the Public Service Commission seats. Those were the ones that we were keeping an eye on because those seats are going to contribute to how your power bill is affected, whether it goes up, whether it goes down, what happens with what you see in your mail. So again, a lot of city council seats shaping up. We have candidates here that were campaigning long and hard, incumbents that were hoping to continue their work, and we're starting to see really the results of the people's voice and how that's shaping up. You can, of course, get these results on your phone at Atlanta News First. It is a free app you can download, and we'll send you push notifications when those races are called. The Stone Mountain Mayor race, again, another hot one that we've been following. A lot of interest around Beverly Jones and Jelani Linder to see if he could unseat the sitting mayor. And of course, Public Service Commission District 2, Alicia Johnson and Tim Eccles shaping up to be really a monumental and consequential race for the power bill users that are following this closely. And my producer did just inform me that the City of Atlanta mayor's race has been called for incumbent Mayor Andre Dickens. So the mayor will have another a continuation for him to continue the work that he's passionate about to oversee the City of Atlanta. The voters giving him a shot to continue carrying on. So that race has been called. We are still working to hear from city council races, each of those districts. And again, the Public Service Commission, all eyes right now on those two seats that will ultimately shape up your power bill in the coming months, as we've heard from many residents with their growing frustration on their rates going up and really wanting to see some change with that. So we're going to stay on top of this. Atlanta News First is the app you are going to want to download for election updates. You can also go to atlantanewsfirst.com and you can see live election results on our website. So did want to take the time. If you got your voting sticker, that means you voted, and I commend you for participating in your civic duty. We are going to stay on top of this breaking news out of Louisville, Kentucky, so I do want to get you back to that. And again, this is video that we obtained earlier. Right now it is very dark, so we don't want to take you back out to the live picture because we aren't seeing too much activity. This really paints the picture of what took place shortly after 5:15 when that UPS plane did crash at the international airport. We're going to take a brief break right here, and then I'm going to bring in our Atlanta News First anchor, Wally Aliu, to talk more about what we're seeing out of Louisville, Kentucky, as we continue to follow this breaking news.
Atlanta News First Plus starts now with the First Alert Weather Day. Atlanta News First Plus starts now with breaking news.
And that breaking news we are staying on top of course, that major plane crash, devastating plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. It has been a very busy news day. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I am Atlanta News First anchor Wale Aliyu. We're covering a lot today, so take a deep breath because there's a lot going on today. We are, of course, day 35 of the shutdown, so you have a lot of people throughout the country already feeling the angst of the shutdown. Jobs are impacted, food is impacted. On top of that, it is election day. All right, it's been 365 days since the election last year, and now here we are, the local elections, which a lot of people will say matter more to you than some of even the national elections. And with all that going on, and a lot of people are already have that angst and that anxiety about flying as the holidays are coming up. And then now we have this breaking news that we've been covering and following all day, the plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. We are going on 3 hours now. It is 8:24, so this crash happened right around 5:20 Louisville time, local time there. So you're taking some live pictures. These are some old, some pictures from earlier. You just see the plume of smoke and the devastation. These are the governor. We just heard him use the word violent images. These are very stark images. And as they came into our screen, all of us kind of paused and just said, "Wow," and just took a moment of just gratitude for our life after seeing these images, because you know that it could all be gone in the blink of an eye, because 3 people were on that plane, according to the governor. 3 people were on that plane, and we do know, and we are confirming at this hour, there were 3 fatalities from this crash, from the 3 people on board. The governor did tell us he expects that number of fatalities to rise. He's hoping, he's praying that doesn't happen. He used the example of other tragedies where he's been at in Louisville, where he expected more fatalities, but it doesn't happen. He's asking the people to pray. So right now we know of 3 fatalities, but he does expect and foreshadows and warns that number could rise, because we also know of 11 injuries. We don't know the extent of those injuries, but there are 11 injuries, whether that is from people on board of the plane or whether that was from people as the plane came down. And we do know it hit 2 businesses nearby, Grade A Auto Parts, as well as Kentucky Petroleum, a petroleum company. So that is just scary. They were hit directly. That petroleum company, according to the governor, was hit directly. So that is just, imagine just being at work, right? And then you have a plane just coming down, hitting your business just like that. The Grade A Auto Parts, we can report to you, according to the governor, they have been working, the firefighters are on the ground running literally from business to business as we speak, trying to make sure there's no one trapped in any of these businesses, because this is the Kentucky airport is nothing like Atlanta's airport. Atlanta's airport, obviously, one of the largest and the most used airport in the world. Louisville, Kentucky's airport is nothing like that. It's a much smaller airport. It's kind of in the midst of neighboring businesses and neighborhoods and stuff like that. So as these planes are coming down, they're literally passing some of the neighboring and surrounding communities right there. And this Grade A Auto Parts company, as these firefighters are running from business to business, they have been able to identify all but 2 employees at this Grade A Auto Parts company. So there are still 2 people that are unaccounted for at this 8/27 time period. So they will, of course, according to the governor, be providing information and descriptions of the 2 missing employees. But gosh, I just take a second and just to pause and think about the angst of those families. I mean, you see these images on the screen. I mean, the nation is watching this right now, right? Because we have, obviously, the election night. This is a busy news night. As I mentioned, it's day 35 of the shutdown. But now the nation is watching this crash and these images that you're seeing on your screen that are just completely devastating images. So when you see images like this, your first thought is, oh my gosh, this is tragic. Then you start thinking, oh my gosh, do I know anybody who's been impacted? Louisville is very much a UPS town. A lot of people there are either, and as we've reported, this was UPS MD-11. This is a plane that was headed from Louisville to Hawaii, all across literally the other side of the country. Because it's such a far flight, we're talking about 220,000 pounds of fuel, 38 gallons of fuel. That's why you're seeing these images. That's why you're seeing the smoke. That's why you're seeing those flames, because it was that intense, because you're flying across the country, so you have to pack it with fuel. So because of that, that's why these images are so strong and so violent that we're seeing. So again, 2 people unaccounted for from that grade A auto parts. And I was mentioning, if you're a family member and you're thinking about this, you're reaching out to the people that you know in the community. Because and I'll just show you these images. Let me see if I can just. I'm new to this screen, but Maria, who was just here earlier. Oh, that's some user video. I want to show you this. This is the Worldport in Louisville, Kentucky, right? So this is a UPS town, right? So all these UPS employees, I mean, I'm just thinking about the UPS employees who are working there. A lot of people know someone who works at UPS in Louisville, Kentucky. That it's just it is a big part of their infrastructure there. So everybody's been calling and contacting people, making sure that they're able to get a hold of their loved ones, of their friend. And fortunately, some of those people who were making those phone calls are not getting a return text, are not getting anybody pick up on the other line right now. Whether they're one of the 3 people who have died from this crash, or whether they've been one of the 11 people who were injured, or whether they're some of the people that are unaccounted for. So there's a lot of just unknown right now. The governor did tell us that let's go back to those. I just want to go back to some of the images of the fire. So the governor's saying that this is just devastating for the community, one of the hardest days. And you could just see the look on their faces. Whether it was the governor, the deputy mayor, the fire chief, the police chief, they all spoke. And they were just, this was hard. This is hard for them. This is a lot. You prepare, you train for days like this, but you never want to have to use that training. And that is what happened today. They had to use that training. And we're all grateful, right? We're grateful that they have that training. They're able to utilize it, keep our loved ones and our friends and family safe. But this is, you never want to be in the position where you have to use that training. But hey, we are grateful that they have that training. They're able to use it on this fateful day, November 4th, 5:15 p.m. This plane went down, and that strip of that runway you're seeing right there, golly, the flames, the smoke, plumes of smoke were going so far. They had a shelter in place as far as the radius was from the airport to the Ohio River. We're talking a massive shelter in place that they're trying to narrow as they kind of do some of the monitoring of the plumes of smoke. But this is a massive area, and they're asking people all around that surrounding area, literally, to close any air vents that they have, because that smoke, you don't want to breathe any of that in. And especially if you have any kind of respiratory issues, asthma, anything like that. Imagine that is what your night sky looks like in Louisville, Kentucky tonight. Maybe as you're going out to vote, or as you're coming back from voting. This is what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with. And maybe you're one of the people who was impacted by the government shutdown, right? Maybe you're worried about the SNAP program and whether or not your family's going to be able to eat this week. That's all what you're dealing with in our country right now. And then you turn on the TV and you see these images. I'm not sure which building that is, but I would assume that was one of the buildings that where we saw that roof. I'm assuming that would either be the Grade A Auto Parts or the Kentucky Petroleum. But man, this is a tough day for Louisville, for the state of Kentucky, and really for our country. And it's not lost on me at all, the combination of these 3 headlines today, these 3 major headlines today. It is a voting day. Everybody's going out to vote, right? We're 1 year removed from the presidential election, save all those local races. We are on the 35th day of the shutdown, right? Tomorrow would make 36 days, the longest shutdown in government history, right? 36 days would be tomorrow. And then you have this crash. Whether or not the shortages, and we know all that's happening with TSA and FAA and the strain that the government workers have at the airports right now, whether or not that had any kind of impact on this crash, we don't know. We're not going to speculate on any of that. But it is not lost on me, the combination of these 3 headlines today. And I don't think it should be lost on you either. That is a big deal. That is what, on this Tuesday, November 4th, that's what we're dealing with. 3 major headlines, and in some ways could be related. All right, let's go back to this. I want to just play a couple. Let's see what kind of images we have here. I want to play a sound bite from some of the people on the ground there, just so you can kind of hear just a little bit. Take a listen to this. This is a couple people, and we have, WAVE is our sister station down there. They rush to the scene. Obviously, that's kind of what we do, right? When things like this happen, we get out there and we try to see if we can gather information and get that information out to you, the public. And when you get to those scenes, it's kind of tough to find people, but you're often able to find people who either are around the area or who may have seen something. And our crews were able to get this interview from these two people. I want you to take a listen.
So for something like this to happen, extremely shocking. And, I know that there's injuries, but I hope for the best in a terrible situation.
And obviously, this is, I think we were talking about it in my ear right now. You have to go back a while to the last time something like this happened in Louisville. I mean, just what are your thoughts when you see the orange glow literally right behind you?
I thought it was one of my job, because I work right off Gray Lane, so I was hoping that everybody made it out okay. I was hoping it wasn't another explosion like we just had at Carbide Industries or that we just had at AAK, dealing with chemicals and, terrorist attacks and stuff going on like that. They just forwarded a plan on Halloween, I think it was. So I was just hoping that everybody was safe and, everybody made it home. But our prayers are with the families and, hope everybody made it home safe.
And you checked on your folks, so they all okay?
Yes, I checked on my folks. My family does live in the area, and I was, just checking in on them, make sure everything's okay, because they did have a stay away 5 miles. So we was trying to get to our families and loved ones as soon as we could, but police got everything blocked off down here, and it's kind of hard navigating through traffic when there is an emergency going on.
And just for the both of you, either one of you can answer. Just, I don't know, when you see the plume of smoke, when you see it going. I mean, it's darker now, but all the way back to the city. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Do you guys just have any thoughts about just how, I don't know, I want to say crazy, but like you said, unexpected this would have been?
Yeah. My thought is he literally works on Fern Valley and Grade Lane. And so I just picked him up about 3:30, 3:45 this afternoon from work. And it is a very eerie feeling because, of course, we pass the UPS where you have to pass there, the planes every day, getting him from work, going to work. A very eerie feeling if we had been coming through there at that time. I was actually complaining about how long we had to wait at the light to get on the expressway just this afternoon, shortly before this happened. So, I mean, I hate for anybody to be involved, but very eerie, scary feeling that we could have possibly been in the area. Thankfully, we weren't.
Especially when
Eerie, scary feelings. That is the sentiment from people on the ground right now in Louisville, Kentucky. I do want to mention, very important, and as we listen to the presser, the governor, deputy mayor, fire chief, police chief came and spoke to us for about 20 minutes. One of the things they made sure to emphasize over and over again, as we are now 3 hours and 20 minutes into this crash, and the investigation is still active. There's still fire crews on the ground. They said, do not go to this crash site. These are some earlier images from the crash site. Do not go here because they are completely. Maria's going to up one. There we go. Do not go to this crash site because why? Well, you could be in the way of a rescue. You could be in the way of what they're trained to do, and they are still working to make sure they're getting as many bodies alive as possible. Do not go to this crash site. I know you're looking for your loved ones. They also ask, do not call them. They are not going to be able to pick up the phone right now. They're asking you to monitor their social media, the emergency management social media. That's where you're going to get help. That is where you're going to be able to get any kind of assistance. I also want to mention, as you're looking at these images, I mean, golly, this literally created its own weather event. This is a hard fire to fight. They are surrounding this fire from all angles, but the fire chief said there was a lot of issues with this fire, but they do have firefighters surrounded from all angles. They have people surrounding counties who have come in to help them as well, along with the Louisville Fire Department, the Airport Fire Department, as well as surrounding towns. But they also said, hey, do not worry. We are staffed 24/7. So just because we have everybody right now on hand does not mean we don't have 3 crews of people that kind of, stagger their crews throughout the day. This investigation is still very early. They are preaching patience. They say it is not, again, check their social media, check emergency management. Their phone calls are going to be busy. Don't do that. Check their social media. But these images are just jarring to watch. This is a tough day in Louisville, but they did also mention that they are very grateful for all the first responders, hard at work, making sure that they are able to, when something tragic like this happens, at least provide some kind of peace, some kind of solace to the community here. You can imagine just the strain that is on the airport staff, on the UPS staff there, as I mentioned, because of the shutdown. This is a reminder, and they said in the press, and I'll reiterate it here. It's so important to take care of the people around you, your neighbors, your loved ones, because you never know when the last time you'll see them. So you really have to make sure that you're taking care of one another. This is a lot. This is a lot for the community. This is a lot for the state of Kentucky right now. I do, again, all the thoughts and prayers for sure with anyone impacted, the victims, their families. The prayer, as the governor mentioned, is to keep the fatalities as low as possible. And right now that count is at 3, with 11 injuries. The fire chief did tell us they don't know of anyone trapped at the moment, but they are searching buildings nearby to see if there's any more impact. They tell us that they have a shelter in place. They're trying to narrow that shelter in place as they monitor the plumes of smoke. They're asking people to pay attention to any notifications as they do this. But again, these images, the reason these images are so stark is because there's 220,000 pounds of fuel, 38 gallons of fuel. So when that goes up in smoke, that's why you see those violent images, the disturbing images that you're seeing. Again, they haven't received any info on the status of those 11 injured. But the governor asking everybody to stay very prayerful. They will, of course, not comment on the 3 deaths at this point. They do want to talk to the family members of the people, of the victims who died in this tragedy before they release those names. Of course, I know that is one of the tough parts of any time a tragedy like this happens. If you are knowing anyone in the Louisville, if you know anyone who might have been flying to Hawaii, you're on your phone, you're texting, you're calling, trying to get hold of those loved ones. And if you can't reach them, it is very, very scary at this moment. So the governor saying that they will, of course, notify next of kin before they let any of us know those names. And as concerned and as worried as you might be tonight, they are also asking still, do not go to that crash site. Do not go to that crash site. Just monitor the social media and say a prayer from where you are. And sometimes that good energy, that good vibes can be what is needed at this moment. But there's not much else we can do. We just have to let the trained personnel, who is very well trained for events like this, this is what they do. They train 24/7 around the clock for moments like this, and this is their time to shine, and let them kind of guide us through these tough moments here. All right, so resetting here, 8:40. We've been on the air talking about this for about 3.5 hours now. 3 fatalities as a flight, UPS MD 11 flying from Louisville, Kentucky to Hawaii. Almost 250,000 pounds of fuel went up in flames, 3 fatalities, 11 injuries. Prayerfully, it's not more, but the governor did warn us that is a possibility. Grade A auto parts was hit, along with Kentucky Petroleum Recycling was hit directly. Grade A Auto Parts has 2 employees that are still unaccounted for. Local electric company was there, was not reporting any outages, but they may have to do some kind of assessing of the area. They do have a radius of shelter in place from the airport to Ohio River, but violent images here on a really busy news night that we are staying on top of a lot tonight. We're staying on top of course, this fire. We are staying, of course, on top of day 35 of the governor's shutdown, and of course, all of the local and national elections taking place right now. It is election night. We will be back, of course, with more election coverage and more election results, as well as we stay on top of this fire. Wishing everybody out there just good, positive vibes as we kind of continue to monitor this. And as the governor said, the exact words of the governor, stay prayerful, because prayer does work. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Thank you for watching ANF Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.